Hey guys, welcome back to Statchat Sports. We've got our weekly Premier League podcast. Tazza's with me today. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Yourself?
Very well, very well. Starting as always with our usual segments covering the title race and the top four, relegation, etc. Title race is where we start. Uh, Obviously, both sides have played here: Liverpool, Newcastle, and City and Leeds. We'll start with Liverpool, only because that's the game that played first, not because they're our team. That's where the focus starts first. And to avoid it being a Liverpool podcast, we'll try and keep it short and sweet. But look, it was on paper probably one of their tougher remaining fixtures, and the result probably showed that as well, being only 1-0. But look, it's a result that, in the grand scheme of things, it's a win is a win, so they'll take it.
Yeah, I looked at that fixture and kind of thought it's a real danger game. Newcastle probably don't have a hell of a lot to prove anymore, but we have seen there's definitely a decent uptick in their form, and so they're a dangerous team. They've been winning for fun, really, in the last 2 months. The way they've charged up the table.
I actually think I saw, and I could be wrong, but I thought I saw a post from someone that since their takeover, or since Eddie Howe came in, it was one of those. Only behind Liverpool are Newcastle in terms of point gained since that point. So I mean, that puts into perspective, because everyone had written them off as relegation candidates.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I really had this penciled in as probably where we might slip up. And it's interesting. We'll look into it a little bit later, but the top four, sorry, not the top four, the games remaining, the four remaining games for Liverpool and City, Newcastle are up next for City. So that's really interesting, I think. I'm really glad that Liverpool have passed that test. And City will probably pass that test too, but it's going to be really interesting to see if they have the same trouble that Liverpool did.
Absolutely. On the game a little bit, we've seen Klopp's rotation over the last 2 or 3 months. He did it again here. Rested some big names: Salah, Fabinho, Trent, Thiago, all on the bench to start the game. They all were called on besides Trent. But an interesting decision, given the concept of the game and that the fact that it was Newcastle, a tough opposition.
Yeah, I suppose too many other fish to fry. Really, the Champions League was priority. We'll touch on that a bit too, but yeah, I don't know. Obviously it worked. Klopp, in hindsight, will say, well, yeah, I was justified. But yeah, it was a real tough one, and a 1-0 win. If that goal doesn't go our way, and if that foul is called, it wasn't a foul in my opinion, but what was thought to be a foul was called back, then does that goal ever come? Do we drop points? And then that's title race gone. Yeah, it's a very risky move, I would say, in my opinion. But yeah, we look at it now, and it was the right call.
Yeah, it definitely was risky. I agree, especially being such an early game on a Saturday as well. They had enough time, I think, for recovery. But look, he's rotated the squad as well as he has these last 2-3 months. So who's us to go against that? He's gotten every single one right so far, so you can't complain.
Yeah, I don't want to put a jinx on it, but I feel like in years gone by, Liverpool have really run into a few injury problems come the end of the season, and it's kind of, who's the next man up? This is where I could jinx it. The squad looks pretty fit at this point. There aren't many holes. I can't really think of any real glaring injuries in that squad at the moment. I know Firmino was a bit of a doubt. He travelled to Villarreal, but yeah, I mean, he's basically fourth choice at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking really good from a fitness perspective, and that's pretty much credit to Klopp's rotation, in my opinion.
It's a good position to be in for a Liverpool fan in this sort of position. It's not something they're used to. So, yeah, it's real good. A 20th clean sheet as well of the season for Alisson in the net. I believe that's the first goalkeeper of Europe's top 5 leagues to hit that feat this season. I mean, how crucial is he to their success? I mean, the guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, his goal last year, we're just going to go off on a complete different subject about Alisson, but his goal this year opened so many windows and opened so many doors for this team this year. He's been that crucial, but he's doing it on his end, the end he should be now.
Yeah.
And not that he hadn't before, but he's really delivering now. And it's, the Golden Glove is his to lose at this point. I mean, Liverpool probably shouldn't drop any more points from here on in. Next game's going to be tough, but you'd have to think that the glove should be his.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I'll just mention City as well, just quickly, because I mean they were expected to beat Leeds and they did convincingly. Again, Liverpool were top for a matter of 12 hours or 24 hours or something like that. So, but you look at both teams have 4 games left. Realistically, can you see anyone dropping points here, or do you think it'll be a case of it'll be 4 from 4 for both sides, and it'll inevitably go to City by a point?
If I'm being honest, I think there's no points dropped, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, I think the Newcastle game is a tough one. We both versed Wolves, Aston Villa too, Liverpool and City both have. So West Ham, Southampton, I mean, I don't see much in either of them. West Ham are really fallen off the I wouldn't say they're perched. They're never on a perch, but their form's dropped quite a bit. But the City Newcastle one, like I said before, is one that does interest me. I mean, Newcastle have shown that they're a different team in the second half of the season. So yeah, and Liverpool Tottenham. I mean that's a big game. They're a top 4 candidate, so it has to be a danger game. And watching the way they played against Leicester, there's some pretty nice goals in there. When that front three of Kane and Son and Kulusevski's doing the stuff they're always a threat. They have to be.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely Liverpool's toughest fixture. I suppose the only blessing is that it's at Anfield. The crowd will be up and about. And I agree with Newcastle, definitely. But for me, it's obviously being at the Etihad is a big plus for City as well. I think they'll get the job done there. But I think West Ham could be the potential bogey for them. It's at the London Stadium. We've seen what West Ham have done to the top sides at home this season. Obviously, they beat Chelsea there. They beat us there. Yes, okay, form-wise, not great at the moment, but it's a tough place to go. You know, that stadium, I believe that stadium can fit close to 100,000, and it's just about packed every week. So yeah, for me that's a tough one for them, but I think
it'll be a big atmosphere for them. Obviously, they'll get a lot of support there, and they'll want to probably make a dent. I mean, I don't think they'd have much of a preference in who wins, being West Ham. I don't think there's much of a rivalry with any of those teams, but I think they'd like to say that they've really tipped it in a favour, in someone's favour due to what they've done. I think that would be a huge win for West Ham.
For me, I think the stature of that particular game has the same sort of feel of City Leicester back in what would have been 2019-20, where Kompany scored just that most outrageous goal from outside the box. To win the game, essentially. That's what it's got. That's got this sort of feel for me. Like it'll take something like that. It might take something like that for City to get over the line, and they'll just scrape it through.
We all know, yeah, City's got all that quality. I mean, they could probably be down, well, not down, but not looking great for 85 minutes, and they'll pop up with some worldie in the last 5, and then bang, it's gone.
Yep.
Just when Liverpool supporters think they've got it, it's gone. That's just City can pop up at any minute with just a sublime bit of quality and just pull it their way.
As we'll crack on to the top 4 and relegation, starting with the top 4. A bit of an interesting week. Obviously, Arsenal and Spurs both picking up wins. Probably more importantly, Chelsea losing to Everton. Definitely a shock result, it has to be said. It's kind of opened up now. Rather than 2 teams fighting for one position, you've kind of got 3 teams fighting for the last 2 spots in the top 4.
Yeah, it's definitely didn't see that one coming. That was completely just. I mean, I chalked that one down as Everton going to drop another 3, closer to relegation. Catch you later. Now it's wide open. It's I think we both kind of chalked it off and said Chelsea were 3rd, and it was Arsenal and Tottenham fighting for 4th, and that was it. And it's anyone's game now. I mean, going on a run, Tottenham can get there if they really want to. If one of those teams seems to want to pick up and actually, I mean, they're winning games now, but they want to win consistent games. It's just crazy that one of these teams seems to not want to, or none of these teams for that matter, really want to string a bunch of games together and really take that 3rd spot, or let alone 4th spot. Arsenal and Tottenham have been falling over each other's feet, and Chelsea slowly being drawn back to the pack. It's kind of I mean, I love it. It kind of went a bit stale for a little while, and now we've got a fight for top and a real dogfight for that 3rd and 4th spot. And it's great that it wasn't just Arsenal and Tottenham competing for one spot. Now Chelsea are dragged into it. It's a dogfight. Yeah.
I feel like Chelsea's form has really gone. It's been swept under the carpet. I mean, they had 3rd spot just about summed up about 3 or 4 months ago, and then you just obviously slowly over time, it's teams are getting closer and closer and closer, but it's still not really spoken about. And now all of a sudden, you take a look at the table and you go, "Shit, there's 3 points in it." And it asks the question. I have no doubt that Chelsea's I suppose drop of form probably has semi-part to play of the situation that's going on over there. We've spoken about it before, and everybody knows it. Look, it doesn't help them. And I mean, if they somehow miss out on Champions League this year, that's going to be big for them, considering the position that the club's in at the moment.
Yeah, and with the FA Cup final coming up as well. If they go trophyless there and don't make Champions League, surely heads are going to roll. I know Tuchel's a top manager, but if they get nothing out of that season, then something's going to have to happen. Because I know the turmoil with the ownership and whatnot will always hang over their heads, or not always, but it'll be there in the off season and probably into the next season until whenever it's properly resolved and put to bed. But yeah, it's if Arsenal and Tottenham had been on a run, Chelsea would be sitting 5th, such as their form. It's been bad, and I mean, as Liverpool supporters, we kind of rub our hands together and think we got a cup final coming up against this team. I mean, obviously anything can happen at any given time with this Chelsea team. So they're the star-studded. They've got stars all through that team, but not putting it together, and it's just really patchy form.
Just turning our focus back to Arsenal and Tottenham real quick. Obviously, Liverpool played Tottenham this week. Big result for both teams, of course. Liverpool looking to win it to keep the title hopes alive. And that's potentially do or die for Spurs in their race too, because look, at the moment they're 2 points behind. If Arsenal win this week and of course Tottenham lose, they'll be 5 points behind. Yes, there's a North London derby in there as well. They can claw some points back by winning that game, but that still puts them behind. So really, we spoke about the North London derby potentially deciding. It's maybe more so the Liverpool fixture that they've got to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's do or die for them, in my opinion. If they lose to Liverpool, basically, the North London derby just becomes another game to peg those points back, and then they've still got to get another win from there. And that leaves them only 2 games to get that. I think the way Arsenal are playing at the moment, I don't know if they'll drop another game. I think they win at least. Basically, they'd have to win 3 of the last 4 to get home, and I think they can do that. I don't know exactly what their run is.
Arsenal have Leeds, obviously Tottenham, Newcastle, and Everton in their last 4.
Leeds,
not a shoe-in.
Yeah. We spoke about Newcastle. Gee, they've got a wretched run home, don't they?
They do, yeah.
That's pretty rough run home. I mean, they're lucky they scraped those points together when they did, because I don't know how many they're going to pick up towards the end of the season. They're a chance in those games, but they're definitely not the favourites in any of those games.
No.
For the City, obviously, having versus Liverpool and now Arsenal, yeah. They're damn lucky they're safe already. Because if they were anywhere near that drop zone, they'd be the favourites to go down.
And the last day of the season is Arsenal Tottenham. That could decide a result either way for both of these. That could determine a top 4. That could determine a relegation. A real finger licking last game there.
So the North London derby is the last game of the season. Is that
no? Sorry, Arsenal and Everton are on the final day.
Arsenal Everton.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, well, that. Yeah, like you said, yeah, that could be a real relegation 6-pointer for Everton, and obviously the game that pushes them into the top 4. That'll be. I think I'd say there could be a lot of games, couldn't there? Obviously, Liverpool, City, their games. This is the best. Obviously, we don't like the end of the football season, but the drama that it brings, it's the best part about it. You love to see after 37 games, come into the 38th game, still so much hanging in the season. It's definitely a good watch.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, with all the games being played at the same time on the final day, makes it all the more interesting, because
the goal rush,
you're checking results elsewhere. Yeah. You're keeping tabs on the other games. The live ladder is popping up on the TV, and it's constantly changing. And yeah, it makes for a nice, interesting last day for sure.
It takes me back to the City win against QPR, the Sergio Aguero. I remember the flashes of Rooney. I think was it Southampton that they beat that day. I can't remember. It might have been. I can't remember. But I remember because I think that was.
Rooney was Sunderland, still there. Actually.
Yeah, yes, it's Sunderland. Yeah, I knew it began with an S. I was that close. I just remember the scenes of them walking off, and as far as they knew, it was in their hands, and then up steps Aguero, and we get one of the greatest Premier League moments of all time. It was a ripper. Loved it.
For me, it's got to be the 1920 season. I remember I had Liverpool Wolves on the TV. I had City Brighton on my phone, and there must have been maybe some kind of delay between the 2 live streams. And all of a sudden at Anfield, the crowd just starts getting up and about, and you just think, okay, something's happened. I look down, Glenn Murray from a corner, Ned's heads home for 1-0, and you start believing. I mean, not 2 minutes later, Aguero equalised. But look, it's that sort of excitement that builds in those final days, and it's what makes a really good send off for the season.
Yeah, it's been a ripper season, and to see it send off. I mean, we've still got 4 games, we've still got a couple of weeks, but yeah, it's definitely nearing the end, and it's been a beauty of a season.
There's still plenty to play for. We're all but one. On the weekend, we saw our first official relegated side. We just about, and I suppose most people would as well, basically had Norwich to be relegated well before the weekend just gone. But officially, it is announced they have been relegated back to the Championship. I mean, look, it's a pattern for them. We've mentioned it before. They go up, they come down. They go up, they come down. They go up, they come down. What needs to happen
The
for these
Premier
guys to
League.
stay in the league? Really, like I don't know.
It's the Premier League yo-yo. It's inevitable. They'll probably come straight back up next year.
Yeah,
And who knows what they're going to change? I don't know whether it's. I mean, they started the season with, was it Farker, Daniel Farker? And I mean, he was probably something of a revolutionary who he tried to be. I just don't think you can be revolutionary with a team like that. Got to play sensible football, sensible relegation zone football. I mean, you got to be realistic. You can't go trying to play city football with a shoestring budget. It doesn't work. I mean, not that Farker was trying to do that, but just needs to work with what you've got. Is probably the thing I'm trying to get across here.
Dean Smith's done a job to the best of his ability since he's come in. To be fair to him,
yeah, he has, and I hope he gets a good go there. I hope they really give him the shot to get back up, and then hopefully maybe build from there. But so I think he was pretty unfair, sort of unfairly dismissed at Aston Villa. So yeah, I mean, but we like you said, we saw it coming, I think, quite a while ago, and it's just confirmed what we all knew was about to happen.
So Watford's next up on the chopping block. Their relegation isn't confirmed yet, albeit just about. I haven't worked out the maths exactly, but they're probably, a win from Everton, probably one win away from it being confirmed for them as well. So that'll be 2. And then, of course, we've got the third spot to fill, which at the moment is a 3-horse race.
Yeah, so they're 10 points behind looking at this now. So an Everton win, and that's done. That's
given they've got that game in hand as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, that would mean they'd 12 points. They're currently 10 ahead. A win would put them 13 points ahead, and Watford need 12. I can only get a possible 12, sorry. So that would be Watford gone. And then, then there's still plenty to play out for the last spot.
I don't know if you saw any of Burnley's game against Watford, but I mean, look, talking about fighting for the 3 points, they turned over that 1-0 deficit in the space of 5 minutes in the last 10 minutes of the game, 83rd, 85th minute, I think it was, to come home with the points. I mean, we sort of questioned the Sean Dyche sacking initially, but they have that new manager bounce, as tends to happen. Looks to be the right decision.
Yeah, it's funny how this always works. I don't really get it, and I don't know why. Things really get that stale that these teams feel the need to get rid of the managers. But yeah, it seems to have happened with every team so far. 3 wins on the trot, pulled 34 points. I mean, if Everton win their next game, their game in hand, then they can find themselves not in the relegation zone, but on goal difference out of it. But they've done bloody well to get where they have right now, and I really don't know. This is really hard to call.
Yeah,
it's I mean, Leeds on their day have shown lots. Everton just don't belong in that conversation. It's just they're the outlier there, and I mean, Burnley seems like the genuine candidate to go down. It just seems like their best isn't anywhere near Leeds and Everton's. So, but they may get it on account of consistency, consistently not being crap. So
it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, they're the least. They're probably the difference between their top and bottom is probably the smallest, and that might be what saves them. So, yeah, if I had to call it, it's probably Burnley that goes for me.
Okay. I just, yeah, I don't know. It's really difficult to call at this point. I mean,
You
we've got,
flip a coin,
you're really good.
flip a 3-sided coin and see where it lands. Because it's that hard.
I mean, we've got 3 weeks left, so I mean, we'll be keeping close tabs on it all the way to the end of the season. But this one I can see going down to that last day, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
As we get down to the juicy part of the podcast, the Champions League, we've had our first finalists. It's Liverpool. It's Liverpool, mate. They've done it again. Third time in 5 years.
Yes.
Third final in 5 years. That's pretty ridiculous. That throws back to Real Madrid days.
It does, yeah. It's consistency we, as Liverpool supporters, probably already dreamed of about. I mean, going as far back as 10 years ago, we were nowhere near it. So it's great, and I mean, I think it's the 10th Champions League final in Liverpool's history.
Yes.
So
I think
the
right.
win rate is pretty decent there. 6-3 so far, going into the 10th. Not much to say that. I mean, Liverpool haven't exactly limped into it. I mean, they'll probably go in as equal, if as dead same odds, if not equal. Dead same odds, if not favourites. They look pretty good. Why can't they get it done again?
Let's start from the top, because they got hit real quick here. The tie was never summed up at 2-0, let's be honest. Going away to Villarreal, who had only lost at home. Who hadn't lost at home since they lost to Barcelona back in, I think it was like November or December or something like that. Their home record was very good. And they came flying out of the box, 3rd minute, 2-1. And then on the stroke of half time, 2-0 deficit gone. And from what I've heard and what I've seen, a bit of a Klopp masterclass at half time with the team talk. A couple of changes in there as well. And the second half was a completely different story.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game live, but obviously the time difference just makes it impossible. You got lives to live, but I do recall waking up and seeing the score, and I saw the score about 15 minutes in, and I thought, all right, okay, just need one to steady the ship. And I saw the score at half time, and I thought, we're going to bottle it. This is going to be the biggest bottle job. This is going to be Barcelona, what we did to Barcelona, and it's going to be all over again. But yeah, look, that second half, there was some pretty inspired changes and choices from Klopp, and Diaz just tore that game a new one in the second half. It's remarkable the effect he's had on that team in the space of 4 months. It's quite ridiculous.
He adds a different element to their game. I think he's so direct when he plays. What I'm trying to say is that he just gets the ball and he just runs straight at you, which is straight on the back foot. And I mean,
defenders are terrified.
Absolutely. How can you defend against someone that quick and that direct? And that he's got that willingness to get forward and carve a chance. And I mean, you saw his emotions at at full time. You know, making his first Champions League final, and the impact that he had on not only this game but since he's come in, the impact on Liverpool's Champions League run. It's been top, and I mean, I think he's got to be up there in the conversation as top January signings, not only for this season, but maybe even throw him in the overall conversation, because he's been nothing short of a stud.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Liverpool have a knack for pulling off very good January signings, unlike many other teams in the world. Obviously, Sturridge, Coutinho from memory. No, I don't think Suarez was. Was he? Was he a mid?
I think he was.
Was he?
He came at the same
Because
time
was it
as
with Andy
Carroll.
Carroll?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because Andy Carroll was the panic buy of the century.
Mm.
So
You won't
yeah,
remember, you wouldn't guess which one of those two was the more expensive player.
oh, ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. You wouldn't guess which one of those become a club legend. But yeah, look, they have a great track record, and this just proves it. It's just another feather in their cap for why you can find bargains and stars in the January transfer window.
The final aggregate score was 5-2. I suppose that kind of flatters Liverpool a little bit. Because out of those 5 goals, probably 3 or 4 of those were down to one man and one man alone. I won't say his name. I'll let you say his name because we've got a bit of up against him.
Geronimo Rulli. Yeah, he had a howler. He got nutmegged twice. He got rounded for the third goal. How he got nutmegged by Fabinho, that first goal, was a mile out. It was so far out, and I mean the shot had some venom, but it wasn't a pole driver. Whether Fabinho picked it or not, I'm not sure. I'm watching that goal back. His stance was pretty wide. He was clearly trying to cover as much of the goal as he could, and Fabinho's just picked that perfectly. But even the Diaz one, he picked that. I mean, he could have gone anywhere with that, and he went straight through his legs. It was pretty bad on Rulli's account. And then you got the Mane rounder.
What was he doing?
I don't know. He's just freaking out. I think at that point he felt like he had to be the hero, and I mean, he wasn't hero to zero because he was never the hero, but it was just really, really disappointing. And I mean, thank God, for our sake, he was that terrible because Villarreal put up such a fight in that first half, and he really contributed in having it all undone for him.
Unfortunately, that is how football works at times. I mean, credit where credit's due. They had a really good Champions League campaign. You know, the teams that they knocked off, finishing second in their group above Barcelona is one thing in its own right. So I mean, yeah, you've got to give credit to Unai Emery. The guy knows how to get it done in European competitions. Maybe just not the Champions League. It's not quite his competition. He probably much prefers the Europa League.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes without saying that, you know, they came across who many say are the best team in Europe at the moment. And they definitely gave them a scare. You know, the first leg was anything to go off. You could have expected Liverpool to come here and just smoke them. Didn't happen. And they were up for the fight. I mean, they weren't afraid, and bar some errors, it costs you games. And at the end of the day, that's pretty much what's happened.
Yeah, I've got a goalkeeper howler comparison. We're going to go back to the Champions League. You might know who I'm talking about. Who had the worst performance? Was it Loris Karius in the 2018-19 final? Was it 18-19? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it was. Or was it Rulli there?
No, it was definitely Loris Karius. The fact that it was in a Champions League final. Look, I mean, the first.
Rulli didn't directly pass the ball to an opponent.
No, he didn't.
Did he?
He didn't. No, he didn't. And he also didn't quite. I mean, I suppose he did let the ball go through his hands for that first one, but I mean, it's routine saves for both goalkeepers. So for them both to let him in, it's not good for him. No. But no, I think Karius's performance was definitely worse.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Rulli's career end because of this game. I think he'll bounce back, whereas Karius was, we barely saw him again, and it's probably, I don't want to be horrible to this bloke, but it's probably where he belongs. Somewhere near the lower tiers, the lower leagues. I mean, as far as I know, he's still with the club.
I think he is, yeah. Just
He just
bounces out
doesn't.
on loan and stuff like that every now and then.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's as good as he'll get for the rest of his career. That was an all-time howler.
Amazing how something like that can shape a career of a footballer. So,
yeah, can make or break.
Absolutely. So yeah, we've got the second side of the draw. It will be played tomorrow morning, our time. Real Madrid, City. City are going in at 4-3 up on aggregate. I think, is it 3-2? No, it could be
4-3.
4-3.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. I mean, City aren't going into that game to hold on to the 1-goal lead. That's just not there. That's just not how they play. And obviously, Real Madrid need to overturn the 1-goal deficit. So I think we could be in for another crazy game.
I think it's going to be another goal fest. Yeah. Madrid have too much quality in Benzema and Vinicius to be held, I think, especially at home. I'd be very surprised to see City hold them at home, given that. And obviously, it's game on from there. And I'm not saying that Madrid are going to score the first goal, but they are going to score a goal or two.
Yeah.
And at some point, these teams are going to have to go, all right, you're going to have to back their attack and let it rip. And it's just, I think we might be in for the exact same. The aggregate score could be a wild one here.
Yeah.
I think we might be looking at like a 7-6 or an 8-7 kind of aggregate. You watch, it'd probably be 0-0 tomorrow and City will waltz into the final. But I just think these teams have too much attacking talent to both be kept down to such a dull scoreline.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see a penalty shootout decide it. Now, given that the away goal rule is scrapped, penalties are on the cards. That'd be good to see. It hasn't happened so far out of this season Champions League, but yeah, it'd be great to see that. Just something different, I suppose. We all love a penalty shootout.
Tense drama for. I mean, I'm sure Liverpool would love to see it. See two teams just absolutely duking it out. Obviously, the final isn't for a little while, so it doesn't really take much out of you in terms of going into that final game. But especially for City in the league, I think Liverpool would like to see a real tough game here, like what they experienced against Atletico. They'd want to be seeing City push to their limits, and I think it's going to be a ripper.
To sign us off, just quickly, have you got a pick for the game? Have you got a preferred who you'd prefer Liverpool to play in the final?
I have a preferred. I don't know who's going to go through. Look, my head says City and my heart says Madrid.
Okay.
I think I want to see Salah get revenge. Obviously, it's not going to be at Ramos because he's not there anymore. But I think I saw a quote from Salah saying he wants Madrid in the final.
Yeah,
that's who he wants to meet. And there'll be some guys in that team, obviously, who tasted success there. But at the hands of Liverpool, Toni Kroos being one, just off the top of my head, Casemiro as well was there. So I'm sure he wants that revenge, and part of me wants that too.
yeah, that'd be good to see. I don't. Yeah, it's hard to pick. They're both real good. I mean, for me, you'd almost like to see a City Liverpool final just for the pure spectacle. I think they are the two best teams in Europe, and to see them go head to head in the final where they both probably belong, it would make for probably one of the more entertaining finals. But yeah, look, honestly, it's either for me. You definitely can't pick a winner.
No, there's no clear winner here. I mean, it's just going to be who shows up on the day, I think. Another all-English final was really going to... I mean, we're so used to the domination of Spanish teams in the Champions League. It was always Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico somewhere in the final four. Obviously, we got Madrid here, but if it is if City get through this tie and it is the City of Liverpool, it'll be the third All English final in 4 years. It's not an outlier anymore. It's to say, the English teams might be changing the guard. I think the guard has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you can, if that is the case, if we do get that matchup, I think we can clearly say that English football is the tip top in the world. I think Spain may have been knocked off its perch, and we are seeing the genuinely top teams all playing their trade in England.
I love the call, mate. I absolutely agree. We're gonna run out of time here, so this is where we're gonna have to end it. Yeah, like I mentioned, 3 weeks to go in the season. Games coming thick and fast. Teams have many different games, 4 games, 5 games. There's plenty to talk about. We'll be here on the podcast for at least another 3 weeks, and we'll make it as special as we can all the way to the end. So thank you as always for joining us. Make sure you let us know any sort of thoughts or any of our comments that we've made. You agree, you disagree, make sure you let us know in the comments. We love the interaction. So, and as always, thank you of course for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.